Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are making a mini Hobbit door wreath. It is not a traditional wreath, but it fits the spirit of one and was the best name I could come up with for this little project. As you can see here, I'm starting by making a little small dot at the top for a drill hole, and then I'm sketching out the shape and details of how I want my door to look, roughly. So this is actually my first YouTube video I'm making where I am doing a voiceover. I've never done a voiceover before. And so bear with as I try to be able to speak authentically. It's interesting. I'm actually so impressed now doing it myself, how other people are able to articulate things and speak so clearly. I find it really hard to actually stick to my natural voice, and I kind of want to go into this like salesperson-y kind of voice. I don't know. I find it really interesting. So, also, I just wanted to put it out there that if there's anybody else watching this who has like an art channel, or even if you like know somebody who has a super sweet art channel, please write it down in the comments because I'm always looking to be part of like the art community, and I'm always looking for inspiration and looking at how other people who are successful are doing this. So if you know someone, write it in the comments, and thank you so much for your support and bearing with as I try to find my authentic voice in doing this. Okay, so almost done sketching out the door here, and we are moving on to the paint. So I just like mix whatever color I want, but I love to add a little bit of glitter, super, super fine glitter, every single time I make one of these doors, or generally any painting that has the sort of borders that I do with moss and all the recycled knickknacks. Glitter is a must. It just makes it so much more magical. And so, yeah, so here I am just painting the door. So let's watch me do that. Okay, so now that I got a couple base layers down, I am starting to work on the details of the door. The door is made to look like it's constructed from individual boards, so I'm adding lines, rough shading, textures to give it a weathered, aged look. Even though I've been painting for like my entire life, I would not consider myself an expert painter, and I certainly do not follow rules. Every single time I sit down to paint, it is always an experimentation. I cannot help myself. But what is great about this is that it always ends up being completely unique. So a big thing, if you go to my Etsy page and you see the art that I sell, that not a single thing is the same. So when you're painting this, relax, experiment, look online for inspiration. I mean, this is not an original idea. There's tons and tons of hand painted doors, digital AI art inspiration. I mean, you could even come up with a concept yourself on whatever AI program you have. But as you see here, I'm adding some shading. And if you mess it up and you don't like it, you can just paint over it. I've done this many times, and even like later on, I'll look at it and be like, yeah, no, this is not something I like, and I'll paint over it and do it again. So let's just watch here as I finish this process, and then we'll chat a little bit more. Oh, and also a tip, if you find this unbearably slow to watch, there is like a little feature on YouTube where you can actually like speed up videos to watch. And I confess, I do this anytime I'm watching a video of any kind of like building art process. I will watch it on double the speed or whatever they'll allow me. So that's just a little tip. If maybe watching this is like super relaxing and you like the vibe of slow art and seeing all the details, but if you want to speed it up, feel free. There's a little feature up top that will allow you to do so. on to hot gluing the pieces around the door. I always start with the biggest pieces first. I am fortunate to live in an area where there's a lot of old dumps around here. Tons of antique glass. I have so much antique glass. So all these large pieces I always put on first. And then after we get all the biggest pieces on there, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, and don't forget to do this step before you get all your pieces on there. I am using a thin black hemp twine here. It might look fragile, but it's actually quite strong. Normally you'd want to use a sturdy rope or twine that can hold your piece securely, because with everything you add to it, it can get a little bit heavy. There are also a few other hanging options you can use. I really like using sawtooth hangers and D-ring hangers. Pick whichever works best for your project. String is, of course, super easy. Okay, and so just a little bit more video action of me adding all of the items I add to here. So I also wanted to note that this wood slice was from a friend who chopped down a tree, and he gave me a bunch of rough wooden slices that he made from this dead tree with his chainsaw. So that is a salvaged item. Typically I get, like, I try to use as much trash, found items, thrift store items. You'd be amazed at how much crafting supplies you can find at an organized thrift shop. This is like a huge thing with my business, is that I really, really like to use as much recycled items as I possibly can. Okay, so I have all the bigger items on there. Oh yeah, and you'll see here me picking all the glue. You'll want to do that constantly throughout it. I think it really depends on what kind of hot glue you have, but I'm constantly trying to pick all those strings out of there, especially when you start adding your moss. So for this step, this particular moss that I'm using is actually, I think it's just like super cheap. I can't tell if it's fake or real, honestly. I looked at it and it looks really real, but it leaves like dye on my hands. So I'm assuming it's just like a really cheap kind. I got it from the thrift store. I also make a lot of my own moss using twine rope, because I make a whole bunch of these wind spinners that use a lot of twine. And so maybe I will show that process another time, but if you go on Pinterest or online, you can find a lot of different ways to actually make moss yourself out of whatever you have at home. So, but typically, yeah, I will use like twine. I've also used, like, you know, those green mesh bags that you get your avocados in or fruit in. I will use that as well as a kind of moss. Yeah, so I will use whatever I can that is the recycled, you know, eco-friendly version. Okay, and so now that we got all of our moss on there, now we get to add all the like small stuff. So you see all the small things I have here around. I have lots of examples. I'll show some other doors here at the end for you to see like all the stuff that I will glue to it, but I mean anything. But this is all like old beads, costume jewelry, tons of stuff. Like I said, I found at thrift stores, or even like old broken jewelry. So many things I find like walking around in nature. People, there's trash everywhere, right? So, but this is where you'll add like tons of small stuff. Colorful, shiny, sparkly, natural, whatever you want to add. So let's just watch as I finish this process. Oh, there we go, we're done. What am I doing the glue here? Oh yeah, adding the door handle. That's right. I think that this is our last item here. Okay, and we're done. Ta-da! Love the glitter. And here are all the things I added to this piece. And okay, so here's some examples of other ones I've made. Much simpler doors, lot more natural stuff on these ones. And this is where I use those green mesh bags to make the moss. a sawtooth hanger on this piece. And same with this one. I think most of the green on here also was made with those green mesh bags. I love the pieces of bark with the lichen on them. Yeah, I love making these, so fun. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Have a great day, and if you end up making these, leave a comment. I think these are super pretty for like Christmas decorations on the door, spring, whatever. I think it's fun. Have a good day, guys.